Within the Black community, there's been several myths. The one that hit close to home with me was only crazy people seek help for therapy or seek counseling. That's why, from a personal experience, it took me a while to seek my own counseling. But what I tell the clients that I work with myself is like, there's no shame in seeking help and getting the help that you need.
Okay. Lisa, can you share some of the myths that you have heard about mental health?
Growing up as an African American female, I didn't hear any myths in my home per se or in my family, because I come from a family who has a history of working in social services. So I didn't actually hear the remarks regarding therapy until I actually got in the field. And actually my very first job ever at 17, senior year of high school, was working in the state hospital. So I learned early on what how mental health and diseases impact a community. But once I got into the field, working with the families that I work with, you know, I heard only crazy people go to a therapist. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to a counselor, or I don't need therapy. I can just talk to my friends, or I'm gonna just talk to Jesus. He's gonna fix it. I'm gonna pray. I'm just gonna pray about it and it's gonna be okay. And, you know, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Casey, can you tell us some of the myths that you heard or experienced?
Sure. While clearly I can't speak for the Black community, I was raised in a very rural, mainly white working class town. My dad is a carpenter. I've done that type of work my whole life, so that's my background. Some of the myths that we kind of were surrounded with is just the idea that therapy's only for rich people. Like, working class people do not have access to therapy. Like, we don't need it. We drink, we do whatever, we smoke, that's what we do. Church, that's a big one. Another one, just mental health issues in general, just kind of making you seem like you're weak. Like, if you can't keep yourself together, then clearly, you're weak. That was a big one in my community. Obviously I was raised in a lot of that toxic masculinity, the macho-ness, all of that. I have 2 older brothers as well, so, and also addiction as a moral failing was a huge, huge part of my community. I was raised in Zanesville, which, if you don't know, has a very, very big meth problem. Huge meth problem, lots of issues there. And in my community, people with substance use issues were looked down on as, morally making the wrong decisions, lack of willpower, selfish, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one last one that was kind of around me a lot is that suicide is a selfish decision. That was one that was really big in my community. I had several people I was close to, even parental figures and such, commit suicide. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Casey. Zara, what are a few that you've heard?
So I think that a lot of you have shared some of the similar ones that I have heard of. One that I'm thinking of is, you don't need a therapist. That's what family is for. And really just similar, praying things through. There's nothing that God can't do. So those are kind of some of the things that I have heard or have experienced.
Okay. Devin?
Yeah, so growing up, some myths that I've heard about therapy were, so therapists don't help. They're like caseworkers. They're just going to be in your business. First of all, I thought I'm gonna pray about it was hilarious, because that is a common theme in the African.
No, Jesus can fix it.
Yeah, Jesus can fix everything. But therapists don't really care. They've never been through anything, so how can they help me? Therapists is for white people. Therapy requires you to talk. Talking means you're soft. You just handle it. I can handle it on my own. I've been doing it on my own. And just a sort of belief that, you know, the system demand everybody's out to get you. Therapists want information from you to gather that, to get to the police, to lock you up, that sort of thing. That was the theme around therapy that I experienced growing up.
Okay. Olivia and Jennifer?
Okay. Some of the stigmas, just denial, pretending like nothing's wrong with you, and everyone telling you, you know, people who seek help are being crazy or it's all in your head, are common things that I've heard.
Jennifer?
I think the biggest one was we don't need nobody in our business. That's family business. That's not. Why would you even bring that up? Why are you even talking about it? Why are you even thinking about it?
Right. Right.
I hear that one all the time.
All the time. So I went online. Y'all know I like to research things and have, you know, proof of what I'm saying. I know I lose my mind and hearing all these myths. And a lot of what you guys have said is definitely true to this list of myths that I was able to get offline. But what I got was therapy ain't for Black people. Therapy is for those who are severely mentally ill, or to break it down, therapy is for people who crazy. Therapy's too expensive. What happens in this house stays in this house. People will know the family business. It will make the family look bad. White people don't understand us. You can't trust the therapist. Therapy does not help. Therapy is a negative experience. Like, you're not going to get anything good out of it. It's going to be bad for you. It's just the blues and it will pass. You can pray your depression away. Black women don't get depressed. We are super women. I never heard that one, but I did hear that you don't get depressed. Black folks don't commit suicide. That's a big one that I've heard, and you know, it's proven to be wrong a lot over and over. And you can handle your own problems. Those were the ones that I found, and I heard that from every last one of you guys. Even Casey, it sounds like you had some of the similar ones in your community that we had in ours. I think when you talked about the substance abuse, you know, when people have substance abuse and they hide it for years. Like, I think about your community. I think about these women that you hear about, you know, raising their children. They're drinking in the morning, hiding the alcohol everywhere, you know, different things like that. Those myths, everything that you guys are talking about is amazing. It's stuff that we hear all the time. So one of the things that we're going to do tonight is I have 3 questions to ask, and we're going to discuss these questions. And I want you guys to be real. I want you to share what your true feelings are about these questions, because, you know, we really are here tonight to inform the people of things to help ease some of these negative connotations that they have about therapy. Like, most of us on this podcast are Black people, and we provide therapy. We're in therapy. So, you know, it's really, we've already cast out those myths that we don't have problems because we have to have therapists ourselves. That myth is gone, right? And therapy isn't for Black people. Well, it's dispelled by the pictures of the faces that are on this podcast. So let's talk a little bit more. I want y'all to be candid. You know, no feeling is a wrong feeling in this podcast tonight. So the first question that I have for you is, how many of us believed some of those myths growing up? Like, how many of you bought into the myths? I'll be the first one to raise my hand. Okay, Jessica, I see that you.
I don't know, I wasn't raising my hand. It was just more so I didn't know. So it's not that I believed. It's just that when you don't know, you can't really make an informed decision until you get out there and try to research it yourself.
Mm-hmm. So did you not do something because of what people said?
Yeah, I didn't go get my own therapy. I tell my clients, I'm like, if your therapist don't have a therapist, you got a problem. Because we're dealing with people's problems every day, and we have to be able to not only release that, but release our own issues that we have. We aren't perfect people, but we're doing a lot by wanting to help people and showing proof that by hard work, things can change and get better.
Anyone else?
I would definitely say that I believed the myths growing up, so much so that I didn't tell my business to anybody, So think about therapy, think about like therapists, me, I didn't even share with my friends or my teachers or anybody, just because I believed that, that they were going to be out to get me, or my family, or in some way harm, dismantle, break up my family. So that was just, the fear that was associated with even expressing myself to almost anybody.
Anyone else? That's good, Devin. Well, we can even look at it as, when you think about the myth about therapy, the myth about social workers plays into that too. That may be, it might have fed into it, because what did they portray us as on TV still? What did they portray us as?
We walk up in the house and take
baby snatchers.
Yeah, we taking folks' kids.
Yeah.
When you think about a social worker, the first thing you think is they taking somebody's babies. Well, children's services don't want your children. That's what I tell my clients all the time.
They don't.
They don't want them. They don't have nothing. They don't know what they're gonna do with them.
Yeah.
So it's just the belief what society portrays, and then we get this. What was that definition? A widely held but false belief or idea. It's widely held by the community. It's told to one person who tells somebody else, or who preaches this, or they put it in the media now more than anything. Social media and media control everything. How we think about things, how we look at things. So a lot of this stuff that we're seeing now, it's how do I say? It's from back in the day, but it's just perpetuated continually over and over and over again in each generation. So
and even been on the other side, been on the professional side, been a caseworker, been a therapist. I've seen it. I've almost battled it, because people would not open up to me. They'd be like, are you the police? And I was like, no, I'm not the police. I'm genuinely here to give you some sort of assistance, some sort of guidance if I can. But it was a constant fight, because it was just like, are you sure? You sure? And then when I finally, gained trust, then it was different. But it was that barrier, that wall that was up just from the myths, because some of it was true, because back in the day we did, as social workers, social workers did come and take babies. They didn't need no order from the judge or law from the police or anything. They could just go remove.
When was that? When was that they didn't need a court order?
I don't know, but I definitely watched a lot of videos and seen a lot of it happen.
That must have been in I don't know when that's been, because
there might have been before your time as well. Yeah. No,
I worked in child welfare for a long time, and to actually take a child from the home, it's a long process, and nobody wants to do that. But if it's an emergency basis, there has to be an order. I've never heard of it. Maybe I don't know, maybe a long time ago, but it has to be a long time ago.
Oh, it has to be an emergency, but who determines what the emergency was, right? And it was up to the discretion of the workers at the time to determine this was an emergency. So I think that's what
the discretion of the legal. They have to seek legal counsel before they can even take the child.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but I understand. Yeah, that is always a thought that they're going to come and take my kid and things like that. And as a former child welfare worker, as an investigator, I think I worked in both two areas. I never worked in foster care but as an investigator and as a treatment worker, it was thought that we wanted your kids, but our goal was to keep your kids with you as long as possible. As social workers and child welfare, our kids are going to the system more often than not. So that's a fear.
that people weren't talking about what was going on, weren't sharing the things that they were experiencing. So, you know, a lot of people were held captive by the trauma that they endured because they were afraid to talk about it because they didn't believe there was help out there for them.
And then, you know, you had the parents who believed that, so they would tell their children, if you tell, they're going to take you. So you better not tell.
Be scared. Yeah.
You better be quiet.
Exactly. Exactly. Good discussion, guys. The next question is a kind of long, so just listen. Bear with me. Pray for me. After being taught these myths or knowing of them, how do you all think we can approach the Black community to get them more vested in the process or thought of seeking help? Because we still struggle with that in our community. There's still a struggle, like Devin just mentioned. You know, when people come in, sometimes I have clients that I just started talking to recently that don't want to talk, you know, and kids specifically that come to session and don't want to say anything because they thought therapy was something else. They didn't know what to expect. But once they get here, it's a different thing. Like Jessica, I know in doing the assessment, you have the front run with them when they come into the session and then they talk to you a little bit and then it's like, oh, okay, they relax a little bit because it's not as bad as they thought it was going to be. You know, I always try to make the session for the client and try to make them feel comfortable, but everybody doesn't do that. So anyway, what do you guys think we can do as a social work field, not just social work, but counseling, therapy, whatever, to help people to feel more comfortable with seeking mental health treatment?
I think Devin says something important when he spoke, with developing a rapport and rapport building. Sometimes it takes a while. It's not immediate. It's not that you're going to come in and we're just going to bang, bang and hit the issues. It's finding out who they really are and letting them know that they are the experts. They know what's going on in their family. They know what they've already done. And then our role is just to help them to feel comfortable with getting to the next level. So developing a rapport with them, I think, is essential.
Yeah, but what about before that process, though? How do we get them to come into the office? What can we do as a profession to get them to buy into it? Like, where do we start to, you know, reach the community to say, this is okay? I know I see more people coming in, and I think I'll tell anyone, I believe a lot of the clients that come to our agency come because of the color of my skin and what my face looks like. And I'm just being honest. I don't know how to be anything but that. And, you know, but how do we get those ones who need it? They're walking around, they really need the help, and they just don't, you know, they still believe those myths that are out there.
I think you have to figure out how to reach your community. You know, what is your community in need of, and then reach them that way. And that's still a part of rapport building. You're out in the community, they see you, they see the name, and it's like, oh, okay. Just like I think like the activities that you do now in the community, being a part of other agencies and doing collaborative work. And so the name, people are like, oh, I remember them. Oh, that's that lady. Oh, that's that guy who was in the park. And it was like, okay, it's still, to me, all of that is rapport building. It's putting your face out there. It's putting your name out there, giving people something to think about. And be like, well, you know what, maybe they seemed okay when they were out here or when they came over here and did this. So maybe that might work.
Well,
Is there anyone else?
There's a level of honesty and transparency we as people, not just as clinicians, have to have, because like you said, with me doing a lot of the intakes, they say they want to help, but they don't know why they're there, and then they get in front of me and they don't want to speak. But I'm me. I'm Jessica when I get in front of them. Yes, I'm the clinician. Yes, I'm the therapist, social worker, what have you. But at the same time, I can take that hat off and be transparent. I have no problem being transparent and letting them know that I'm an individual just like you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. So within that helps to build that rapport. So if they do see you out, or if you're out on the street, I don't try to social work everybody. My uncle goes, here you go social working me. And it's like, no. It's like, no, it's a part of who I am. Yeah, like, you social working me, girl. And I'm like, no, it's a part of who I am because it's helped me as an individual. And then to get to the professional side, like, I can share my individual story with people, which they see that and they go, oh, well, she did it. Well, maybe I can give it a try.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that you say that, sharing as a professional, because when you look at the when we think about the code of ethics and all that stuff, we're not supposed to talk about this. We're not supposed to be that to our clients. But I don't know how to be nothing but me. And if I know one thing, I know that my developing a rapport with them, I have to be me. I have to be who I am. And I tell my clients all the time, I'm living my life just like you. I mean, I'm not exempt to any problems that you're having. So as they think that when they look at us as professionals that we have everything together, there's that misconception about social workers that's a myth. That's a myth right there, that we have everything together. So I believe that, being real and authentic with them, like Jessica said, being who you are is going to be really, really important with anyone. I don't care if they don't look like you, like Amanda and Casey, when you guys meet with people, same thing, be who you are. And I think they'll accept you. I've had white therapists. I've had one or two that I really got along with, and one or two that I didn't like because they acted like they didn't have any problems. They couldn't relate to me. They couldn't relate to me because they couldn't relate to what was going on in my life. But you just have to really be able to relate to them. And when we present ourselves in the community, I agree with Lisa, we have to do those things to make sure that we get them in. But I really, with the community that we're in, there are so many agencies out there that are trying to reach out, that are doing different things. If they're correct, I would say politically correct for our community, I don't know, because I'm not a part of those things. But the ones that I am a part of, my hope is that we can present to the community and reach people who wouldn't otherwise look for help but need it. Like, I know with clients that I see, there are issues that are there that they haven't even delved in with me that need to be addressed, and they're holding on to them. So can you imagine someone that hasn't been in therapy and all the layers that they have to peel back, that they're holding on to, and they're still trying to manage in this world of COVID and everything else that's going on? I know it's hard. So we have to really think about, moving forward, I want us to process, other ways to reach the community, things that we can, do to get their attention and help them to understand that this is helpful. It does help. You just have to give it a chance.
Yeah.
Right?
And real quick, I want to emphasize that being yourself piece, because just speaking from my experience, I was trying to be professional, or what I thought was professional, when what I grew up understanding what professional was talking different. We would call it sometimes it's talking white. Portraying yourself as such. And it wasn't until I had a reality check, like, hey, I can only be me, that I realized that I was more effective in my therapy, in my community, in anything that I did, because I'm only going to be me. I'm only going to look like this. I'm only going to be me however I am. And that's what makes me amazing, and that's what makes me great. And everybody
all right now,
everybody has that within them, the ability to be yourself and bring that piece to it. So I think that was really good just to talk about that, because
Well, I had one of my clients, and she was like, can you just keep it real and not talk to me like that? I said, okay, girl, you want me to take my professional hat off? And she was like, yeah. She was like, keep it 100. So I was like, okay. But it worked for her, and we've made great progress.
Absolutely.
I keep it that way with her.
Yeah. I mean, these are relationships that these are relationships that we're developing, so they have to be genuine if they're going to last. That's why clients go to different therapists, because if they see that you're not being real with them, you're not being authentic and truthful with them, they don't want to hear that. I have clients that I might use some not so nice language with, because that's how they talk. That's what they understand.
That's their norm.
Yeah, Lisa say I know all the words, and I do.
Yeah, it looks like Lisa and Jessica do the same thing as well. But
Yes,
me,
so
never. I would never.
So using those words in therapy isn't obsolete, guys. Y'all hear me?
if that's really you. And that's you.
If y'all are shadowing me in a session and you hear something, just be okay. Be okay.
They heard it. They heard it.
It's well with Jesus. It's well with
Hey,
Jesus.
just for everybody, yeah, Jesus take care of it.
Yeah, so yeah, but think about you have to be yourself. Those are the best sessions ever for me when I am who I am, really still getting through to them what they need, doing the exercises, teaching them the coping skills and helping them to get through the problems in a way that's authentic for me. So
And also
that's what
admitting
the
that
therapist is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Also
saying that's
admitting
what
that you
being
can't help them right now, or you
Yeah.
don't know. Be like,
Yeah,
we're gonna work on this.
Yeah, I tell you guys
okay.
that all the time. Tell you guys that all the time. If they're, even the residents, when you guys came on, I told you if I don't know the answer, I'll let you know and I'll get it for you because I don't know the answer to everything. So I think this is good conversation. We have to really look. I want to really come back to this at some point and see where we've done things that will help to enhance our community and bring more people in and help people to be more comfortable with seeking help, because we do plan to work on that moving forward. Right, everybody?
Absolutely.
And one thing to
did wanna
remember is that it's a process though as well.
Mm-hmm.
We live in this instant gratification society. We want everything immediately and right now. We want we want to win over the whole Black community. Well,
No, that's not happening.
what we have to do is continue to do the work that we're doing.
Yes.
Word
Yes.
of mouth and the meetings and podcasts and everything, and hopefully they'll catch on. Hopefully somebody will reach out to somebody like, hey, I worked with this person and that really changed my life. Oh yeah, and that that's how it's going to work. A sum of all of it, but it's still being a process. So.
And that's very true. I can say that a lot of my clients come from word of mouth. They come from word of mouth. I just got a client today from word of mouth from somebody in North Carolina, which is amazing. So it's really, we have to just be ourselves. That's all we can be. And hopefully this process, it'll spread around to everybody. I'm sure other people are doing it too, but hopefully we can connect and, get some things going that will help this community. I know we can't save everybody, but if we can get one, y'all know that's my thing. If we can get one.
Are you preaching?
Zara was gonna say
Zara's
something.
got.
Zara, I'm sorry, what'd you want to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna basically just share that having conversations like these are the starting point in order for us to be able to reach the community. We don't really have these kind of conversations. So I think that this is a good starting point. And I think that, we could do flyers and just have some of those misconceptions out there. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Because I think that that's like the starting point for all of what we are seeing. Everybody has all of these different misconceptions to this day about things that we're talking about. And so how do we change that mindset? The only way we could do it is have conversation. And so I think that if we can really just I know that this is a little bit far, but like commercials, I've seen commercials about children's services, and that's kind of been something different. And so I think that maybe we can just do little things like that. Those are going to be ways that we can say, oh, okay, I always thought that, therapy was, for crazy people, but now I'm seeing that it's not. So I think that those are some ways that we can start having those conversations and have people break down those walls and be really willing to seek the help that they need.
Representation.
TikTok commercial.
Yes.
TikTok commercial. I told y'all.
Okay, Zara, on the sign right now.
But I think
All right. We can definitely look at that. I mean, I think there are so
that's
many,
great.
like you said, there are many ways to get to people. Social media is a big way. TikTok, unfortunately, has taken off, or fortunately, I guess, I don't know for some. And even from the youngest to the oldest are doing it. I see so many older people on there, and they're the ones that carry these myths still and are spewing them to their children and grandchildren. So getting to them is going to be important too. So we just have to look at all of this, and we'll continue working and doing what we're doing. All right, last question, guys. Unless anybody has anything else on that.
representation. I think that's what what we're talking about is showing
Yeah.
us, like having this conversation and showing the different types of people that we are. Someone else will be like, hey, I look like that person. If they can do it, then I can do it. Oh, I know
Yes,
somebody who
ma'am.
looks like that. They probably could use this help. So just having that representation, which is, I think, one of my biggest things that I push for what I do in education is pushing the representation. Because you have to
Yes,
see it
ma'am.
to achieve it. And
You repping your people, huh? That's right. That's very good, Jennifer. Very, very good. Okay, so now the last question is, can Black people receive appropriate mental health care from other cultures?
okay, so everybody gonna pause. So I would say not exclusively. Like if that's the
Okay.
only place that you're getting all of your mental health needs, I don't know that unless that's your culture. So if you're Black and you grew up in a Asian community, then you getting counseling from an Asian counselor would make sense because that's a part of your culture. But for you to leave your culture and get therapy in any service, and that's exclusive where you're getting your services, you could possibly feel isolated.
Okay.
I
What do you
think that
guys
would
think
work the
about that?
other way. Also, I don't think you should exclude who you would receive therapy. I have been to a couple of Black therapists and I wasn't pleased. They weren't able to give me what I need, you know? It was more like, you know, them really being themselves. They probably was good for somebody else, but it was like, oh, girl, you're going to be all right. Oh, it sounds like you already have it together. No, I need to be challenged. So I think we can't just say, okay, well, you know, I'm going to go to her because she Black and she gonna get me right. They ain't get me right, Jennifer. They left me
Because
they
they're
left me-
thinking-
they-
I
they
mean,
left
what-
me wondering, like, am I really okay?
I don't want to, like, you
Do
know,
I really have it together? I don't feel like
defend
I
this
have it
person, but
Looks
if
like
you're
you're smart.
here and they're down here and you're asking them for help, they don't know how to get you up here.
Right.
Yeah, they told
So
me I
she's
was
like,
fine.
girl, you got it. I mean, help me.
Every
Let me take notes.
representation of a therapist is not a therapist.
Yeah,
That is
I was
true.
like, I'm not okay, but let me just go get my pills from my doctor. I'll think about somebody else later.
Amanda, what do you think? I haven't heard from you yet.
Oh, I'm
What do
sorry.
you
Hold
think
on.
about that?
Laura, Casey raised his hand.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't want to derail us at all. But I think it's such an individual choice. I mean, it's such a case-by-case basis in my experience. And I think that there's a lot of non-visible identities as well that need to be taken into consideration. And self-disclosure in that way can be such a powerful tool for us. I mean, in my personal experience, I am working with a young Black man right now, and he is part of the LGBTQ community. So me also being part of that community is our connection and is what allows him to be able to open up and be able to, you know, be like, okay, like, yes, this is a white guy, but, you know, maybe we can still work on it. And it's been going really well for us. So I think it is such a case-by-case basis. And it's just whoever, I mean, obviously the client needs to be comfortable. And if you're not right for them, you're not right for them. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with Casey. I would say to each his own, you know. But I think that a good point that Casey hit was the connection piece. It's like, can you connect? You know, can that person from another race or culture connect with the client that they're working with? And that's the piece. If they're up here, can you come down here? You know, and it's if that's in your repertoire, then yeah, you know, it works. But if not, then it doesn't. So I agree with what Casey said. I think it's case by case, person by person. And I don't think that, you know, just because you're white, you can't work with an African American family, or just because you're African American, you can't work with an Asian family. I think that the question is, do you have what it takes? Do you have the skills? Can you listen? Can you learn? Can you understand what they're trying to say to you without them probably not even saying it? You know, can you understand what with the nonverbals and everything else that's going on with this person. If you're not able to identify that from that culture, then no, it wouldn't be a good fit.
But
It
Devin,
sounds like you're saying it's about the cultural competency. Do they have cultural competency to treat this family? Because everybody doesn't.
Well,
Everybody.
ultimately connect before even treat, and can you even connect?
Exactly. Okay, Amanda, what's going on with you? What do you think about that?
So, I've really not been faced with that issue. For me personally, I would go more towards gender. Like, I would feel more comfortable, like a female counselor. No offense to Devin or Casey, but I think that, if I was seeking out counseling, I feel like a woman would probably understand some of the things that I've been through, that maybe a man wouldn't. Now, when I was a case manager, I had a really diverse caseload, and I've been turned down many times as, like they didn't want a white case manager. And I was not offended by that at all because, I want everybody to be happy and, do what they need to do to get through. But yeah, so I think, I agree with like Devin and Casey. It really depends on if you have the skills, and it's an individual basis.
So,
And a part of that connection that we have with people as therapists is our ability to show empathy, being able to show empathy to those parents and being able to understand where they're coming from. And that cultural side of it is really important. And a lot of times, some agencies miss the mark.
So
But
what
it's
do you
the
guys
truth.
think about having multiple therapists? Like how Casey said that there are different identities. So what if your different identities had a different therapist?
I will speak to that. I had a client who was a part of the LGBTQ community. She was my very first one. I dealt with her with all the trauma that she had from her family, and we worked through all of that. She was doing well with that. And then we both realized that I had gotten her as far as I could get her because I didn't understand certain things. I didn't know how to speak to her about certain things in the community. So I got her to another therapist. So I'm okay with that. Like I have clients who need different things than I can give them. Like I just sent a client to another therapist the other day because she needed perinatal therapy. Don't know what that is. I never heard of it till that day. But we got her with a perinatal therapist. And so I don't think there's a problem with it. If I tell all my clients, I know I ain't everybody's cup of tea, and I might not have the answers to everybody. When it's time for things to change, it's time for things to. And that's the part about being a good therapist, knowing when you can't help someone and being okay with sending them to someone else. And I have no problem with that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that all of this is all like teachable moments for us. So I think that we shouldn't limit ourselves. Clients shouldn't limit themselves because if anything, clients can learn something from me. I can also learn something from that client, that might not look like me. So it's definitely a teachable moment. I think that also a good point that a lot of you have said, I think everybody kind of will know themselves. And so if at a certain point, I feel like a therapist or basically a therapist isn't meeting my needs, I have the option to go elsewhere. And so I think that those options are always available too. So I think for sure these experiences are going to be teachable moments for us. And I think that's what makes it beautiful. Just don't limit yourself to, as I'm only saying this too, because I think that for me, I am thinking about, I know for sure at some point I need to get into therapy, and I've kind of questioned my own self about, okay, well, do I need to go to this specific type of therapist or all of that? And so I think that I just want to just go and, hey, see how it works, regardless of whatever the person looks like or whatever their backgrounds are. I think it just doesn't matter. Let me just take that step and see where it goes.
And that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that, Zara. I have one of my friends, she's a white therapist, and I won't say her name here, but she is one of the baddest therapists there is. And she can see anybody. She sees one of my best friend's daughters. And she is awesome, but she's white. And if we didn't have the personal relationship that we have now, I would have went to her when I needed therapy this last time. But it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter as long as the person meets my needs and they're able to connect with me. Devin, I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, and piggybacking off of what Amanda was saying, teachable moments. A teachable moment could be, as the therapist, you getting past the initial no, getting past the initial like, I'm here or whatever, and maybe, just build your own repertoire. That's what I would do. I don't care what anybody looks like, color, gender, orientation, hey, whatever, however you coming, just come on, and we'll see. We'll see what it is. Now, I'm not going to spend 6 months trying to figure out, like, hey, this isn't a good connection. If it's just not a good connection, if it doesn't work, if the Laura said it's no problem in finding somebody else. Look at all these people we have right here. Somebody could take this human being right here and work with them and be a better fit. But what can I do to maybe be more culturally competent, to be more understanding, to be more empathetic to this person who represents a people that I'm not too familiar with, or maybe I am familiar with. They're just looking at me like, "Oh, you have no idea. You don't look like me," but I really do. So.
Very good, guys. This has been such a great conversation tonight. I have enjoyed every moment of it. We have touched on myths. We have touched on the myths that we believed growing up and how they affected us. We have touched on, after being taught these myths, how do we think we can get to the Black community and reach them better and have them more competent in coming for receiving mental health services. And then we also talked about Black people being able to receive mental health services from other cultures, or anyone really being able to receive mental health services from other cultures. And I just am so pleased with this discussion tonight. You guys have been amazing and so candid in your thoughts and sharing. I really appreciate it. I hope that we were able to reach one. Like I said, if we only reach one, that's enough. But I think we reached more than that in this discussion tonight. I look forward to continuing our discussion next month. We will be doing this podcast once a month for a little while just to see how things go. And next month, we're going to discuss the subject of Black History Month, because it will be over by then. And I want to know the opinions of people on whether or not Black History Month is a long enough period of time to really pay homage to a people, a Black people as a whole. What do you think?